Hey guys, Lewis here. Welcome back to another episode of Nerd Effect. Last time, we tried to cover information on the Andromeda species, however there wasn't much to read at the time, and instead we decided to go over some of the planets and locations. Today, we're going to be focusing on the technology and the ships and vehicles to finish off the remaining Codex entries. Let's start off with the technology, since that's very important. This is going to be information on technology used by the Initiative and the other advanced civilizations in Helios. Let's start off with the exploration tools, which are devices used to survey and investigate and map a new galaxy. We're going to have a lot to cover here. Let's start with the scanner. Planetary surveying, especially for the potential settlement, involves meticulous scanning. However, there has been little pressure to improve planetary scanners. In its search for better solutions for its pathfinders, the Andromeda Initiative began with hardware salvaged from GEF platforms and software developed by the Solarian STG. With artificial intelligence support, Initiative scientists developed a fast, accurate sampling system codenamed Penopets, linking it to the quantum computing power of an AI, which can produce multiple analysis and predictive models in seconds. They created an Omni-tool mounted scanner that completes accurate surveys in moments instead of weeks. For typical scanning, the Panopet system uses a transmitter accelerator mass spectrometer, TRAMS. This creates a snapshot of an object's components, atomic weight, and radioactivity, and allows me to produce a more in-depth analysis. For biological materials, the Panopet system switches to an electrospray ionization system, so plants or animals can be scanned without causing radiation damage. That's a very interesting way to break things down instead of doing a week-long in-depth scan on an object. Being able to, it's almost as the way I'm imagining it is like looking at a engineering exploded design of a component. It's just all the components just explode out slowly, and so you can see which part goes to where. It's very interesting to consider. Jump jets. Currently there's an error, the SAM node is interrupted, but once proprietary hardware for Turian Special Forces, Initiative armor comes with jump jets as standard. These jets allow a user to make extremely high jumps or hover for several seconds. All colonists are trained in their operation to evade predators or environmental hazards, obtain resources, or conduct maintenance in high places safely. Jump jets itself consist of a helium-free microthruster with a tungsten hafnium carbide casing. A gyroscopic element 0 core functions to both keep the user oriented in flight and lower their mass when hovering, keeping fuel expenditure down. Hard-coded safety features prevents continuous operation of jump jets to avoid injuring the user or melting their equipment. I always love reading the science of the technology that comes up in the Mass Effect universe. It's very intriguing. Technology on consumable resources. Again, there's another error, but while Andromeda Initiative gear and weaponry is designed to be as versatile as possible, extraordinary circumstances sometimes arise. Pathfinders and scout forces are often turned to less orthodox resources to ensure they survive hostile conditions. Adrenaline is a nickname for a prototype Omni-Gel OSD package. When deployed, it bypasses Omni-tool safeties to manufacture, small-scale manufacture new heat sinks, and provide a temporary but powerful boost to armor. A shield capacitor immediately overlocks a user's shields, bringing them to full power and giving them a boost. This boost is unstable, however, and will be lost the next time the shield is breached. A life support pack boosts the environmental management systems of a user's hardsuit, enabling them to cope with environmental hazards for a longer period. Special ammunition packs apply a variety of effects to weapon fires. Incendiary ammo coats projectiles in thermite paste as they are fired. The paste adheres and burns through armor. Cryo ammo uses a Bose-Einstein condensate to freeze an enemy or slow them, and disruptor ammo projectile carries an electrical charge that damages an enemy hardsuit system. and the Cobra RPG package uses a volatile solution of Omnigel to manufacture a short-lived but extremely dangerous projectile. Launched from an Omnitool, it hits with the same explosive power as a portable rocket. Again, it's unorthodox, but you gotta do what you can to survive. Omnitools. Omnitools are handheld devices that combine a computer microframe, sensor analysis pack, and manufacturing fabricator. Versatile and reliable, an Omnitool can be used to analyze and adjust the functionality of most standard equipment, including weapons armor, from a distance. The holographic haptic interface also functions as a communication device. With sufficient Omnigel, or other raw materials, usually converted from salvaged light alloys, plastic, or ceramics, an Omnitool's fabrication model can flash forge small three-dimensional objects or emergency suit patches. This allows quick repairs or modifications in the field. The Andromeda's Initiative's Omnitools are designed for reliability and efficient recycling of materials. Pathfinder Omnitools take design inspiration from models used by Solarian Intelligence Services, prioritizing the computer microframe to allow lag-free scanning and AI support. The ideas of an Omnitool is very, very interesting because it's basically a rapid prototyping 3D printer that can just create just about anything you need for the situation. Alright, let's move on to settling Helios, the technology to build a new home from the ground up. Let's start with charting Andromeda. Charting the Andromeda galaxy for habitable planets presents a unique challenge. Observation is limited by light, and given Andromeda's distance, any observations from the Milky Way are 2.5 million years out of date, enough time for a planet to have altered irrevocably, as we just seen with Habitat 7. Initial attempts to identify settlement sites were made by obtaining Asari astronomical surveys and running them through predictive models, but G. and Garson was unwilling to risk thousands of colonists without solid information. Eventually, the initiative obtained promising data from Quarian explorers who claimed to have found a Geth array on the fringes of the Perseus Veil. This array was supposedly built from 3 mass relays using sensors in the combined relay corridor as a form of FTL telescope to observe dark space beyond the galactic rim. Why the Geth expanded so much effort to study dark space is not known. Amongst these observations were near contemporary surveys of Andromeda. When our predictive models confirmed them within an acceptable margin, the initiative was able to begin identifying golden worlds. So that's very interesting right there. We already know that the Geth were somewhat ahead of the game in terms of technology due to their interest with dealing with the Reapers as well as preventing the Reapers from completely taking them over. So them co-opting Reaper technology, the relays, and using it as a telescope to observe dark space, which is where the Reapers were hibernating, is a very, very interesting thing. Maybe the Geth were already preparing before they even became a major threat in terms of their invasion. Again, I'm not exactly sure if this will be taking place in the same timeline, but if it holds true, this takes place right after the Collector attack on Shepard, but sometime before Shepard was revived by the Lazarus Project, and the Reapers are still a thing. That's assuming if my theory is true. Let's move on to Cryogenic Stasis. For many species, early long-range explorations relied on cryogenic stasis. Without modern FTL capabilities or long-distance transit methods like mass relays, the distances involved in space travel meant that most crews would die of old age before reaching their destination. Cryogenic stasis gradually lowers the body's temperature enough to slow its vital functions, but not low enough for damaging ice crystals to form, before the pod generates a Mass Effect stasis field that suspends both the individual and the interior environment in the pod. Contrary to the depictions in popular media, the individual is not conscious of time passing. From most travelers' perspective, they lie down in the pod only to be awoken moments later. Quite honestly, that would be a very jarring experience. You just laid down and then you woke up and you were 634 years into the future in a distant galaxy. That would be mind-boggling. And it's also a concern for mental health as well, because there are just, our minds can only comprehend so many things, and not everybody would be able to comprehend that they literally just gone that distance for so long. A popular thing I like to compare it to is like this particular unit from Homeworld Cataclysm. I believe it was the Mimic, and they were colonists that survived the trek from Karak to Higara through cryogenics, but when they were released from cryo, their minds, they just had a mental breakdown where they couldn't even comprehend or deal with the situation, and because of that they just kind of put themselves in almost a vegetative state where they were only able to do simple things. It's a very interesting concept, but at the same time very terrifying when you think about it. I don't know if I would be able to handle it. Let's take a look at the techs and biotics though. The science behind abilities that seemingly defy the laws of physics. Let's start with Element Zero, otherwise known as EZO. The rare material known as Element Zero generates a field when subjected to an electrical current which raises or lowers the mass of all objects within it. This mass effect forms the basis of modern technology, from weapons and manufacturing to enabling faster than light travel. Element Zero is generated when solid matter, such as the planet, is affected by the energy of a star-going supernova. The material is common in asteroid debris that orbit neutron stars and pulsars, though mining such regions is extremely hazardous and requires significant investment. Various isotopes of Element Zeros have been identified, though the rarest have only been observed in laboratory conditions. Surveys of the Helios cluster suggest that the region is rich in Element Zero, which was a deciding factor in the Andromeda's initiative's decision to settle there. Without EZO, the initiative's technology would quickly become obsolete. Yeah, so again, our technology in the Mass Effect universe is all dependent on EZO, Mass Effect technology. FTL Drive. A starship travels faster than light using an Element Zero drive core. In special relativity, an object approaching light speed effectively gains in mass until it would take infinite energy to propel it, but a negative electrical current running through an EZO drive core lowers the starship's mass, allowing it to travel at FTL speeds. Motive force is provided by the ship's thrusters, chemical rockets and commercial fusion torch, or military anti-proton drives, in addition to the FTL drive core. Without thrusters, the ship has no ability to move. Standard drive cores build up a static charge during operation and must be discharged periodically, otherwise the core discharges into the ship itself, with catastrophic results. The initiative drive cores intended for long-term voyages are designed to recycle or reduce static buildup. Yeah, basically, for a trip that long, you would need to find a way to take care of all of that excess buildup, whether reusing them for other systems or the thrusters itself, or being able to discharge it in a safe fashion without harming the overall systems. And moving on to the Mass Effect fields. Element Zero can increase or decrease the mass of a volume of space-time when subjected to an electrical current. With a positive current, mass is increased. With a negative current, mass is decreased. The stronger the current, the greater the magnitude of the dark energy mass effect. In space, low mass effect fields allow FTL travel and an inexpensive surface-to-orbit transit. High mass fields create artificial gravity and push space debris away from vessels. In manufacturing, low mass field permits the creation of evenly blended alloys, while high mass compaction creates dense, sturdy construction materials. The Andromeda's initiative technology relies heavily on the Mass Effect fields, from reduced mass supply drops for outposts to the impressive long-range drive cores on the arcs. Again, none of this would be possible without Element Zero. And that pretty much covers everything in technology. Let's take a look at the ships and vehicles, the vessels and transport that makes explorations possible. And currently, we only have info on the Hyperion. The Hyperion serves as the main vessel for carrying human settlers bound for Andromeda. Named after the Greek mythological figure associated with knowledge of celestial bodies, the Hyperion represents a breakthrough in intergalactic travel. Substantial money and resources were devoted to its construction, all privately funded by Gian Garson and the Andromeda Initiative. Built to withstand the rigors of a nearly 2.5 million light-year voyage, the Hyperion is outfitted with the Odyssey Drive core technology, which allows the ship to make a 600-year voyage safely at FTL speeds. It features enough stasis pod to accommodate approximately 20,000 settlers and crew. Hyperion left the Milky Way in 2185 as part of the initial wave of departures under the command of Captain Nazami Dunn. Wow, that pretty much covers all of the Codex entries we have as of now. In the future, the Codex entries will probably be a little more scattered, so we won't really have a particular topic we will focus on. We'll just be learning something new at that point. That's going to be it for this episode of Nerd Effect. I hope you guys enjoyed the reading, and I hope you guys learned something new as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.